What if I told you that the most painful part of healing is not the memories, not the trauma, not even the grief, but the people you lose along the way? Because healing is a betrayal, not of yourself, but of who you were when they loved you. This is the truth no one tells you. This is a side of healing you never see on Instagram. And by the time you do, it's already too late. When you start to heal, something strange happens. It's like waking up in the middle of a play you've been performing in your whole life. Except suddenly, you don't remember the lines. And everyone else is furious you've forgotten your role. Psychologists call it role lock. It's an unconscious agreement, a silent contract, written in our relationships. You're the listener, they're the talker. You're the fixer, they're the broken one. You're the people pleaser, they're the taker. And here's the catch. Once you heal, you stop playing your part. And the people who loved you as a character don't know how to love you as a person. In 1973, psychiatrist Dr. Ronald Lang coined the term family psychosis. He found that in many families, one person unconsciously absorbs the dysfunction of the group, becoming the identified patient. When that person starts healing, the entire system panics. Because healing one part means confronting all the rot beneath the surface. Your brain does not want you to change. It wants safety, not happiness. Familiarity, not freedom. When you begin healing, especially from trauma, you trigger something called identity collapse. This is a scientifically studied psychological process where your brain literally doesn't know who you are anymore. Neuroscientist Dr. Norman Doidge documented this. When people recover from long-term trauma, their sense of self becomes temporarily unanchored. They experience social loss, disorientation, isolation, because the person they're becoming doesn't fit where they came from. But here's the kicker. Sometimes they go back, because loneliness feels worse than being misunderstood. And that's the tragedy. Let's go back, way back. In ancient Sparta, exile was considered worse than death, because to lose your tribe was to lose your identity, your safety, your soul. You were no longer someone. Modern neuroscience supports this. The anterior cingulate cortex, the part of your brain that registers physical pain, lights up in the exact same way when you feel social rejection. So when you start healing and people begin pulling away, your brain literally experiences it as being wounded. And here's where it gets dark, because rejection activates shame, and shame activates a desire to self-abandon. So you reach back out, apologize for changing, try to shrink again, just to be loved in a language that no longer fits. There's a toxic myth floating in the self-help world that healing makes everything better. The truth, healing makes you aware. It makes you question. And worst of all, it makes you uncomfortable to be around. You stop laughing at the jokes that rely on self-hate. You stop letting your time be stolen. You stop agreeing just to survive. And that makes you dangerous. A 2015 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships found that people with strong boundaries are more likely to be perceived as difficult, especially by those benefiting from their lack of them. So when you start healing, you start threatening the lies others built their comfort on. They don't leave with a fight, not usually. Sometimes they ghost. Sometimes they slowly respond less. Sometimes they love you, but not the new you. And that's the most painful loss. When someone mourns who you were while you're still alive. Psychological concept. This is known as ambiguous grief. Grieving someone who is still physically present, but emotionally or spiritually absent. You're not crazy for feeling like something died, because something did. The old dynamic, the old connection, the version of you who tolerated the intolerable. In 15th century Japan, broken pottery wasn't discarded. It was repaired with gold. The technique is called kintsugi, and it treated the cracks as part of the story, not flaws. But here's what they don't tell you. Those repaired pots couldn't go back to their old shelves. They were too valuable, too different, too fragile for the same chaos. Healing makes you glow in places others still bleed. And not everyone is ready to see that. Every hero's journey involves a lonely walk. From Moses leaving Egypt to Buddha abandoning his palace, to Harriet Tubman escaping, then returning to lead others, there's a pattern. Healing first looks like exile, but exile becomes initiation. It's not just who you're losing, it's what you're making space for. But that space, it feels like death before it feels like birth. In the process of neural rewiring, especially during trauma recovery, the brain actually prunes old neural pathways, a process known as synaptic pruning. It quite literally kills parts of your old identity to make room for the new. And yet, some stay. The quiet friend who doesn't flinch at your boundaries. The new soul who meets you where you're going, not where you've been. The rare companion who doesn't just tolerate your growth, but waters it. They may be few, but they are sacred. You'll know them not by how loud they cheer, but how safe you feel in silence. Healing is not just about feeling better. It's about becoming you. And sometimes that means walking alone, not because you're broken, but because you finally stop pretending you weren't. So if you're losing people as you heal, don't chase, don't shrink, don't explain. You are not difficult. You are becoming honest. And not everyone is ready for that, but you are.